welcome back to Father Malone's Weekly Roundup. I am Father Malone. Oh, wait, no, is this Von Doomfest? I don't know. It's a little bit of both. It's a Von Doom Roundup. Because, ladies and gentlemen, the Doomsday trailer finally dropped today. HB and I have gotten together because we cannot stop talking about Victor Von Doom and all of his guises, some of them misguided, one might say. This is not the actual first trailer. There were 4 teaser trailers, let's remember. There was Captain America Has a Kid. There was Thor praying to Odin in a forest. There was Black Panther meeting the Fantastic Four. And there was one other, which I can't remember right now.
Don't remember either.
Nevertheless, this is a full-on 2.5 minute, I don't know, this ain't a teaser. This is letting us know exactly what's going on in this movie. Here it is.
Something's coming. Something we may not be able to deter. Before this day is done, we shall be faced with an unthinkable decision.
I've fought with many warriors in my time. They were far stronger than all of us put together, and they died. They died facing enemies and threats that scared me far less than this one. Everything that they sacrificed will be for nothing if we do not stand together. Put aside your petty squabbles and presume nothing except this. If you return, you will return as brothers and sisters. But mark my words. We're going to need a miracle.
Hey, pal.
It's not possible.
HB, you saw the trailer.
Many times.
What are your initial thoughts on Avengers Doomsday, our first Avengers film since, my God, since Endgame?
I got a lot of thoughts here, Father Malone. Now, I guess I'm guilty of being a little jaded. I've been this way probably for the, what are we in, phase
5?
9? Or phase 5, what did I say, phase 9? Phase 5. I've been rather jaded for a while now. I was diehard, loved all the Marvel movies, but obviously I think post-Endgame, I'm not sure anybody would argue that their track record hasn't been a little spotty. So I came into this with a healthy dose of skepticism. And for me, first of all, I'll just say the portentousness of the tone is a little off-putting considering we just went through the same kind of thing with Infinity War and Endgame about how this is the war to end all wars and gird yourselves because we'll need a miracle to get through this. I don't know. What did you think?
I personally hate that sort of buildup. The character saying, we can't stop them. There's nothing we can do. We're at our darkest hour. I always think of Doctor Who, where everyone refers to the Daleks as the most lethal species on Earth. Just one Dalek loose on Earth could decimate the entire planet. And then they just fight with Daleks and they defeat them handily. That's what I tend to think of here. So it all seems like much ado about nothing. And because we haven't been privy to Victor Von Doom at all in the entirety of Phase 4, we have to take their word for it. We at least got some sense of who Thanos was and what he was after as we led up to his appearance. We had 20 movies, and he was in some of them before we had his final appearance. So, I don't know. I always have a kind of a jaundiced eye when people start saying shit like that.
Yeah, me too. And Thanos had the benefit. It was a long buildup. It was years of teasing him and the Infinity Stones.
That's the thing. Even if Thanos wasn't in those movies, like you felt like pieces of a puzzle were being put together. Like each of the sort of MacGuffins in the films ended up paying off.
Because obviously they had to redirect pretty quickly after the whole Jonathan Majors situation happened. I'm casting a jaundiced view over almost anything that's coming our way now because I'm not sure that bringing Robert Downey Jr. back as Doctor Doom, it just feels like it felt like such a desperation move. But at the same time, I think the Russos are at their best in these Marvel movies. So on the one hand, I'm bracing for disappointment, but I'm also hopeful that they can get back to some semblance of what was so exciting about those previous phases. So I'm very conflicted at this point. And this trailer didn't necessarily allay a lot of those fears for me.
I think Phase 4 was a giant shit show. There was no path that was clear. It felt like they were just throwing everything at the wall. It felt like they were high on their own ass fumes at this point. They just thought, like, we can't fail. Let's just rush things out. Let's give them 10 or 15 television series. Let's throw movies out willy-nilly without any thought to how they connect to one another or if they're driving some forward momentum. And that's the thing. They were, at that point, they were working towards Kang Dynasty. They fucking announced this goddamn title. Yeah. But even that, it felt scattershot. Kang showed up in Loki, and then he showed up in Quantumania. And I don't know. It didn't feel like we were heading toward a timeline incursion type story, and yet here we are.
I felt that way until we saw that post-credit sequence where you see all of the different Kangs and their sort of council of Kangs or whatever you want to call it. And that's when I went, wow, this actually, I'm beginning to get it now because I did see, I liked him in Loki, and I felt like they were moving in the right direction, but it blew up in their faces, and I don't blame Marvel for casting about for any solution. And I think they went for the most crowd-pleasing solution in the moment because we've all seen the Comic-Con footage where Robert Downey Jr. was revealed as being Victor Von Doom, and the place went apeshit. But how much of that is due to the fact that we've just had so many disappointing movies coming our way and TV series from Marvel? I think the fact that they're bringing back Captain America, they're bringing back Tony Stark ostensibly, still feels desperate to me. And how do you move a franchise forward if you're constantly looking backward?
I think the Jonathan Majors situation was a fuckaroo, but I think they overcorrected. I think they just should have recast him. For fuck's sake, we're dealing with timelines and variants. That's what we've been doing for a fucking entire cycle of films and television shows. Cast another actor. Refilm the Council of Kang scene with this new actor and have that be. Replace it. Who cares? You know what I mean? The idea that they would deviate so fucking heavy and then introduce a character who deserves to be built up as much as Thanos does. As many of the villains as we've received from Marvel so far, there is no one to fuck with Victor Von Doom. How we haven't been teasing him for fucking 20 years, I don't know.
Surprising it took this long to introduce him to the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
So we finally get him, and then you're right. It is this absolute fucking desperation bid where let's get fucking Robert Downey Jr. in. What? It just. Anyway, like I was just saying, variants apparently are a very possible thing here in Marvel. If you're going to cast fucking Tony Stark as Victor Von Doom, then just cast some other actor as Kang the Conqueror. And by the way, I would have loved to have seen a Kang the Conqueror versus the Avengers film.
Could have been great, and it will.
Kang is a fucking great character, man.
He is. He's a time traveler. He's got all the. It will still remain in history as one of the great what ifs, because I'm sure there are scripts out there that actually map out all of these, the Kang dynasty. I would be look. I don't care enough to try to sift through the original comics to figure this out, but I would love to know what could have been. What were the plot outlines? How did
I believe that
died?
I believe the ultimate plot outline is effectively just been transferred to Doomsday, which is 3 separate teams fighting the villain on 3 separate fronts. I think with Kang, because I have read some of it, and with Kang it was going to be that the Council of Kangs has decided that they need to destroy Earth 616. So it's all about a fight for Earth 616, but in different places, including space. So there's like a spaceship battle going on, and there's an Earth battle going on. I'm sure there's a water one going on because they've already introduced Namor, where we see a bit of him here in this trailer.
Yeah. By the way, should we qualify it that there might be spoilers here for plot points?
Well, I don't think we're going to talk about anything than what we were seeing in the trailers.
True, but having gone through the trailers with a fine-tooth comb, I did a little more research into what is possibly happening with Doom.
Dun, dun. Well, don't say those things. I know I
won't say those things.
HP, I know the entire plot of this movie, like scene to scene.
I believe I know what the 30,000 foot view plot is. I guess I just won't go into it. But actually, can we do, before we dig into too much more of the negative stuff, can we talk a little bit about what we liked?
Yeah.
Because obviously we're talking about how this seems to be, we're jaded about the whole idea, but I'm very curious what you liked.
Okay, let me say this. I do think that casting Robert Downey Jr. is a desperate move. And I thought that about Captain America. However, we feared his place in this story was going to be that him having a good life was going to fuck everything up for everybody, okay? That is clearly what they're going with here, and that's fine with me because that makes plot sense. That's woven in. Timelines, right. If you incur on a timeline, something's not supposed to be there, it fucks up the branches and worlds are going to collide. Okay, perfect. So I don't have a problem with Chris Evans returning as Captain America. I was really fucking happy to see him. Maybe I cried at the end of this trailer when he fucking shows back up and he's ready to go and he's looking shaggy and fucking awesome.
Put a pin in that because that's one of the things. There's something about that appearance that I didn't like. So put a pin in that for me. I have made a little list here. The first thing what I liked is, first thing off, is I like that they're setting up Thor as a leader. Because I think we've seen the pendulum swing so far over to the comedy side with Thor. And I'm the first to say that Ragnarok still remains one of my favorite MCU movies of all time. I think because that was such a radical shift for the character and it was needed to prick the pomposity of the character. So
it was a palate cleanser.
Yeah.
We needed a brief pause before we got back to badass Thor, who we've now fallen in love with.
Yeah, so I'd love to see the serious side of Thor again. I'm sure, by the way, we talked a little bit about this offline, is the scene where he's addressing all of the gathered heroes and I believe it's supposed to be the Avengers Tower.
Yeah. So if you haven't seen the trailer, he is addressing the new Avengers, who are the Thunderbolts, and Captain America, who is Sam Wilson, and somebody else.
Fantastic Four.
I know that. Yeah, the Fantastic Four are also there. So yeah, that's basically the group. I know Ghost. Yeah. No, Ghost is part of the Thunderbolts. There's someone else there.
She's there. Ghost. That whole team, I believe, is there. Yeah. But what I guess this is a little off the topic of positives, but I'm almost positive. It's not the only place, but I'm almost positive there are a person or people who have been CG'd out of that scene. I think because they did a lot of that with Endgame and with Infinity War, where they would change the trailer to take you off the scent of what was happening. I'm sure there's more people than just the 8 or 10 or so that are gathered there. I have a feeling.
It's my understanding that there's something like 27 characters at play in this film.
Yeah.
So
remember that original trailer where all the directors' chairs and all those names we saw scroll by? There's a lot. We haven't seen Tom Holland as Spider-Man anywhere in this trailer. So
didn't see Doctor Strange anywhere in this trailer.
Didn't see Doctor. Although there was an explosion, which I couldn't tell if it was the Avengers or the X-Men mansion or if it was coming from the Sanctum, but could be.
Here's another thing I did like about this trailer. After 5 fucking years, we finally see Shang-Chi in action again. And
Yeah.
more so, he's fighting Gambit.
That was my next positive. That if I had to pick out a favorite moment from this trailer, it was them squaring off. Because first of all, I think Shang-Chi is a fantastic character. I I enjoyed the movie, but I thought there was so much more they could do with the character. And it now to see him not only being a badass again, but Gambit was one of my favorite parts of the Deadpool Wolverine movie. So there's something so heartening. The fact that I know Channing Tatum was at it for years trying to become this character and have his own movie. So to see them featuring him so prominently, and at least in this trailer, was like, yeah, he looks awesome. And the action there looked incredible.
And we've already seen him as Gambit in that film, so we know he's comic accurate. But there's something so heartening seeing comic accurate Gambit fighting with Shang-Chi.
It's great. I went back after I watched that trailer a couple times. I went back and I rewatched the big action scene in Deadpool Wolverine where they're attacking the compound, and it's their moment to shine, all these forgotten heroes. And to focus on Channing Tatum specifically in Gambit, he looks, the actor I'm talking about, looks like he's having such a blast doing all of the Gambit stuff, shuffling the cards, throwing them, quipping about all the stuff he's doing. I was like, if I'm going to pick out anything out of this movie that I want to have featured in another movie, that was it. And I'm so glad they brought him back for this movie.
We're getting all them X-Men. We get Mystique here. We haven't seen this particular look, but it's one of my favorite looks for Mystique. Talking about comic accurate. And it's, what's her name there? Mrs. O'Connell.
Oh, well,
Rebecca
from
Romaine
Strange New Worlds.
Stamos.
You're one of your favorites from Strange New Worlds, right?
Oh, yeah. I love her on that show, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't realize it was her because the makeup is so extreme. I guess she looks so different than she did in the other movies.
So we get to see Mystique fighting with Yelena Belova, the White Widow. Oh, boy. I can't wait, man.
That looks cool.
Mystique turning into her.
Yeah. It looked really neat. So I like that too. I think Doom looks fantastic. And by that, I mean they hewed very closely to the comic. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. We talked in other episodes about the other iterations of film Doom and the things they got right and the many things they got wrong. This looks great.
Yeah, he looks perfect. What was another thing that you liked?
About the trailer?
Yeah, man. That's what we're talking about.
That was the you covered all of the big points, but let me think just for a minute here. You might want to cut this out. What else did I like? It looks to me, it looks like vintage Russo brothers. I like how they direct. I don't necessarily love their non-MCU movies. I love seeing Patrick Stewart in anything these days, and to see him with Ian McKellen, that always will give me chills. But here's the thing, and this maybe you can file this under spoiler. My sense is, and I don't know how wrong or right I would be. My guess is the X-Men will only feature insofar as their dimension will be destroyed as part of the plot to bring all of these multiverse misalignments back into. I don't think we're going to see a ton of the X-Men. I think maybe they're being a little disingenuous. That, who knows? But I feel like maybe that's a little bit of a bait and switch.
I don't know. I think we're going to get more of them than we've been expecting.
I want that to be the case, but and a part of me says you don't have Patrick Stewart in your movie unless you're going to have him featured in the movie for more than just a scene or two.
We get Loki back in this movie. We hadn't known. I don't think we were aware if he was going to be in the movie or not.
Yeah, I thought he was like wrapped up in this tree. That was his destiny after the end of Loki. He was part of the Yggdrasil or whatever it was called.
But the fact that we see him in his suit means it's probably a flashback.
Or another variant of some sort.
Yeah, could be.
Could be. But I love Tom Hiddleston. I think he's fantastic. He might be like, for me, the most improved. Someone who obviously started out very villainous. But I love his, whatever you call the opposite of a heel turn is. I thought his work in Loki was among my favorite of all the Marvel pieces of media, film or otherwise. So it was great to see him in this.
Yeah, it gave me hope. And I am curious to see all the characters they're not allowing us to see yet, because there have to be a ton, right?
Oh, yeah. We haven't seen the Hulk. Like I said, we haven't seen Spider-Man. I'm pretty sure they were all represented in those director's chairs.
Can we get some street level people here in this movie finally? Can we get some Kingpin action maybe? Some fucking Daredevil? Some fucking...
Yeah, I don't. Were they listed in amongst the cast?
I don't recall them being listed. I think it's a drag that they keep fucking not putting them in features.
But that could be like a great reveal that no one knows about. Imagine we were talking about Spider-Man recently. You were talking about how delighted you were to see Matt Murdock in No Way Home. You didn't know he was going to be in it. It was like,
No,
wow,
man.
this is so cool.
Pepper
So hopefully they
pepper
have
them
some.
in.
Hopefully they have some. I would hope they would have some surprises in that respect in this movie.
So far, I haven't seen hide nor hair of the Midnight Suns, which is the only fucking group that I'm interested in showing up to. By the way, the next Von Doomfest will be about the Midnight Suns. I didn't see any Ghost Rider. I didn't see any fucking Morbius, the living vampire.
Do you think we're going to actually see Morbius?
I didn't see Blade.
That would be an interesting.
We are going to get Blade.
So you think we're finally going to get?
If we don't see him in this movie, we are definitely seeing him in Secret Wars.
So you're talking Mahershala Ali here?
No, I'm talking about Wesley Snipes.
You think they're going to just? So you figure Mahershala Ali's just done? They're never going to make his version of Blade?
That is what I'm saying. Yes.
Wow.
No. What's going to happen is we're going to get either this film or the next film. We're going to get Blade, and they're going to wipe him out or snip him or prune him or whatever the fuck they're doing with all the variants.
Yeah.
And then after that, because now Mahershala Ali will have aged out of the role, they're going to pick somebody else, and we're going to get another version of Blade. That's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah, I still don't know all the details behind why it never got off the ground. I guess
the scripts were terrible.
Could you say the same about Gambit? Is that the same situation where they couldn't find a good script and it just...
Well, in that case, he was trying to do that at Columbia. And Columbia was in the X-Men and the fucking Spider-Man business only. Oh, no, they didn't even do Spider-Man. That was Warner Brothers, wasn't it? Anyway.
The original Spider-Man was Columbia, right? The
yeah.
Spider-Man?
Oh, yeah, definitely. They're still holding on to it. That's who they're still fucking negotiating with, is Columbia for Spider-Man. But, yeah, so he was independent. That movie was trying to be made independent of Marvel as a studio. And, yes, all those scripts were garbage. One of them was kind of fun. It was just a straight-up heist film and was more of a romance. And that probably could have been good had they made it with somebody who had any sort of skill. But, yeah, no, that was not to be. And I don't think we're ever going to get Mahershala Ali as Blade, other than that one brief vocal performance at the end of Eternals.
Yeah, that's a shame. But like I said, I couldn't be more delighted that we're seeing Gambit. Just because, I don't know, I feel, look, Channing Tatum doesn't need me to root for him, but I feel like they really did a good job in the Deadpool movie of making you feel, to recognize how hard he worked to try and be Gambit, and this might have been his only shot at portraying the character.
Speaking of Cyclops...
Cool. Yeah.
Gotta love that fucking costume, man.
I love it. Like I said, I'm afraid to get too attached because I just don't know if it's just they're going to be wiped out in the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Okay, I can actually say that, no, they're not going to be wiped out in the first 10 minutes of the movie.
That would be cool. It would be interesting if they didn't, but...
Did you notice that when Cyclops is doing his giant superhero pose and shooting his fire into the sky, that behind him is a giant robot walking?
I did not. Is that a Sentinel?
I don't know, because when we see the scene later between Thor and Doom, there are giant robots littered around the periphery there too. So are those Doom bots or are those Sentinels?
Interesting. I got to rewatch it now.
I'm now interested to know if their version of Doom bots are going to be gigantic, because if that's the case, I'm fully on board.
Interesting. By the way, side note, I think you've watched all these. James Marsden is so underrated as a comedic actor. He was great in the series Jury Duty. Did you ever see it?
You've told me about it. I have not seen it, but
because he's playing a version of himself. It's a reality show, but he's so good. But I told you this. I rewatched the movie, or it's not really a movie, but it's just a TV movie called Tour de Pharmacy,
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's great. Yeah, he's great in
He is
that.
so good. He's so good in that. So anyway,
Come
I'm
on
a
in
fan.
Westworld, too, man. Westworld. He was fucking awesome in
Right on.
Westworld.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a Marsden fan, so I'm looking forward to this because we're finally seeing these X-Men as we know them from the comic books. No more like black leather joking about how, yeah, maybe I should go around in yellow spandex. No more of that. This is cool. That part of it I really like too.
Where's Rogue? Where's Dazzler?
Where's Storm?
Where's Nightcrawler?
Nightcrawler's there. Alan Cumming is part of this, isn't
Yes,
he?
he is. He's going to be in it, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But we didn't get to see him, so curious.
We did not get to
curious.
see him.
Ah, there's so much left unsaid.
Yeah. So let's what else was there anything else that you want to call out as being particularly fun or interesting for you? Because I want to turn the tide a little bit if you have anything else.
I think overall, I'm pretty excited for Avengers Doomsday.
Yeah,
I think those
I'm cautiously
problems,
optimistic.
and we'll talk about what other problems. But look, my main problem remains that it's Robert Downey Jr. They literally could have cast anybody, and we would have had the same impact. No one's going to this movie because Robert Downey Jr. is in it. I'm sorry, it's not happening. We're going because it's a fucking monster jam of superheroes.
See, I disagree. You just have to go back and rewatch that Comic-Con footage to know that people are so excited. People love
HP,
that.
it was a fucking gigantic room full of nerds there for Marvel. They all know all of those movies and TV shows back and forth. If any actor had walked out on stage who was an Avenger, they would have lost their shit. If Phil Coulson had walked out on that stage, they would have lost their shit.
I don't know to that degree though. But anyway, I'm fully prepared to eat my words about all of my trepidation around.
What do you think of his accent? What do you think of his accent? You heard him in the trailer.
I thought it was good. It took me a minute to even realize that it was Robert Downey doing the accent. I thought it was fine.
I thought at first it was Patrick Stewart just being old.
Well, initially I thought. Then I thought maybe it was Red Guardian. I thought, is this a Russian accent? It was very non. It was hard to pin down. But then finally, there was something in some of the words he said where you can clearly hear that it's Robert Downey Jr. just doing the accent.
It's a Slavic thing he's trying to do.
Yeah, no, and that's fine. Look, like I said, I'm fully prepared to swallow my pride and say, yeah, I want to enjoy this. I really do. I'm not out for this thing to fail. I'm not going to hate watch it. I hope it's good. But I will say, the thing you talked already about Chris Evans or Steve Rogers being back, that was one of the things I was most disappointed by. So we have the big Steve Rogers reveal at the end of the trailer when he catches Mjolnir. Boy, it looks like they de-aged him within an inch of his life. He looks very bad in that shot, Father Malone. It hurts me to say it.
I didn't get that at all.
He looks waxen to me.
Yeah, he just looks like everyone else in this fucking trailer.
No, but it was worse because I'm not seeing a hero.
Why would
I'm
they
just seeing a
de-age him?
guy.
I don't understand. What are you talking about? He's not
Because
supposed to be a
it's-
younger version of Steve Rogers. This is Steve Rogers. It's fucking Chris Evans.
I can't explain to you why that's the case. I'm just saying he looked oddly smoothed out. He looked peculiar to me. Maybe it's just, I don't know. It could be a trick of any number. Maybe they did that to obscure something else that's going to be a major plot point. I don't know. Maybe it's deliberate. I just know it rubbed me the wrong way, and I wish it didn't.
All right, what else?
What else didn't I like?
Yeah, because I'm on board with the trailer. Like I said, I don't really.
No.
My problem is Robert Downey Jr. and everything else. I know it's a lot of fan service. I know it's a lot of fucking just rah-rah stuff we've seen before. I know the plot is ultimately just Infinity War again. But
and that's my biggest problem here is we already talked about how dramatic this all is coming off, and it just seems like Thanos took many movies and many years to ramp up, and this is all happening within the span of really one movie. So I'm just not sure. I want to like it, and it makes me feel bad to be nitpicky. There was nothing else to answer your question in a very roundabout way. We've covered all of the nitpicky bits that I didn't like. I thought overall it's good. I'm not the biggest fan of Namor from Black Panther, so that kind of left me a little cold. I don't know.
that movie is a mess, though, for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It is such a compromised film that I don't think we ever got what that movie was supposed to be.
Sure, but I as silly as it is, and as silly as it might have appeared on screen, I just kind of wanted the original Prince Namor, the sort of the fishy guy with the wings on his feet and the funny haircut and the royal sort of imperiousness of it. I don't know. I didn't really cotton to that guy's interpretation of Namor. I hope I'm proven wrong in this movie.
Maybe
he'll
we'll
put
get
me
a
over.
Namor variant that looks exactly like the comic book version.
The other thing I liked about the original Namor that they don't really bring up is that Namor was part of the Defenders during World War One. He fought alongside the original Human Torch, and he was one of the original superheroes. And that was one of the brilliant things about the Fantastic Four comic is they reintroduced him by having Johnny go to a flop house where Namor's there and he's forgotten who he is. He's now a vagrant. And I thought that was such a cool way to reintroduce the character. This, I don't know. I guess it just didn't wow me. So maybe I didn't hate that in this trailer, but it left me a little bit kind of shrugging my shoulders, I guess.
I'm curious to see where they're going to go with that because the alliance there is Wakanda, Namor's undersea people, and
Yeah.
I guess the Fantastic Four as well. They seem so far from what we've seen, those three groups are together.
Yeah, they're in Wakanda because you see the Thing shaking hands with Winston Duke's character. I don't remember his name.
M'Baku.
M'Baku, that's it. And I'm looking forward to
M'Baku, who
seeing.
should be the Black Panther, by the way, everybody.
Thank you, because I was actually thinking as I'm watching this, I was like, I really like that character. I think I would love to see more of him because he's compelling and he's interesting.
He was a bit of a blowhard and an asshole, so like what
Yeah.
a natural character arc that he eventually takes up the mantle after he's been like hardened in battle and shit.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to more with him. Hopefully we'll see a lot more because I don't remember him being in that Black Panther sequel a ton. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'm hopefully optimistic. I guess that's my phrase.
I guess.
Can we
that's
talk
what-
about one thing though
Yeah,
before we
let's-
end?
yeah.
You had brought this up to me offline, and we can make this quick. I don't want to
Yeah.
make this go on for hours because it's only a trailer. You had brought up the poster, and you said
Yes.
the word you used was interesting, and I thought it was interesting too. But I'm curious from your perspective what you really liked about it.
Okay, the poster, if you haven't seen it, is a shot of Von Doom from behind, and he's admiring a tapestry. And the tapestry is, I guess, Ladverian in origin, but right at the top is a mother and a child. That's what I thought about it. I thought, oh, is this a gigantic revenge story? Is that what we're doing?
And that was my understanding as well. And I looked up, I admit, I did try to look up some interpretations to see what other people thought. And apparently, one of the big there's a consensus that represents his wife and his child who were killed during one of these incursions that we're theorizing Steve Rogers is directly responsible for by staying back in time. So, yeah, I think this is probably going to be a revenge story for his family getting killed.
So it's Infinity War plus Civil War. Because was that not Baron Zemo's very motivation?
Yeah. Underrated, by the way, both the villain and the actor. We talked about that at length in another previous...
In our Captain
Von
America
Podcast.
episode.
Yes. But I don't think enough is said about Daniel Bruhl. I thought he was fantastic.
I agree.
And
More Zemo,
and
the better.
yeah.
You didn't watch The Falcon and the Winter Soldier? You
I did.
did.
I watched
You
it.
did.
Yeah,
He's
I-
great
I-
in it.
I enjoyed it probably more than most. I think that was considered a lesser, and maybe it is, but I like those characters and their bantering, and I thought they had a very easygoing rapport.
Yeah, and we got U.S. Agent, which I love U.S. Agent. I feel
Yeah.
bad for that guy at all times.
Yeah, and I think that guy Wyatt, what's his name? Wyatt,
Russell?
Russell. I'm sorry. I thought he changed his last name. You're right, Wyatt Russell. I thought if you're gonna have anybody play U.S. Agent, he's perfect because he's always gonna have that thing where he's compared to his father and considered less than. So you made that point during the Cap episode. That's a fantastic way to cast it. Yeah, I like that poster. I think it's open to interpretation, and here's the thing. Ultimately, I honestly could have given two shits about Thanos. I think they did a great job with the character. Ultimately, I thought Josh Brolin was perfect. But if you're going to ask me what villain I would want represented on the silver screen, it would have been Doctor Doom. So I'm happy that we're going to see Doctor Doom. And my guess is there's that shot where he stops Thor's arm breaker. with two fingers, and everyone's like, "How could he do that?" Thanos couldn't. It's magic, right? He's using magic, which is it doesn't have to be physically more capable. He just has to use magic, and that's what makes him more powerful, I think, ultimately than Thanos even.
That's true. They really haven't played that up yet. That the fact
Yeah.
that he's a magic-based character. Scarlet Witch, where is she? Doctor Strange, where is he? Where is Wong? Where are the defenders, the actual defenders of magic?
It really does open the possibility up that they'll bring those characters back in a big way, like Doctor Strange. You fight magic with magic, because obviously Thor is more or less powerless against it. We've seen that just in this trailer.
Yeah, he had trouble with fucking Hela back in the day. She's all
This is
magical.
true. But note also that Thor did go for the head.
That's true. Straight up.
He's learned his lesson.
Yeah, man. This is how you
lesson.
deal with giant villains in an
This
Avengers
is how you do
flick.
it. But no, I'm looking forward to it, and I hope it's good.
When we get off here, I'm probably going to rewatch Thunderbolts, and I'm going to rewatch Pool and Wolverine. And if if I have enough time, and I just don't, I'd really like to rewatch Loki, the series, actually.
That's a commitment. But I do remember thinking the Jonathan Majors season was really good. Actually, I guess he features in two of the seasons because he came back for was it season 3 where they traveled through time and they find the character when he was like
A child, yeah.
I personally I thought that was the best season out of all of them. That final
The third
season.
one?
Yeah.
Did too. I thought it was great, man, even though they kind of dispensed with Kang a little too conveniently.
Right, but it was Tom Hiddleston. It was never better than in that. And you got what's his name from the Goonies, Kihei Kwan. I didn't want to mangle his name. He was in it. I thought he was quirky, and I don't know. It was a good, solid season of television, and maybe the last good thing that Disney Plus produced for television, for Marvel in terms of not Star Wars. I know Andor was great and all that, but
There it is, folks. This is a special report, I guess, of I don't know what this is. It's Father Malone's Weekly Roundup, everybody. So it came out early this week, so don't look for it Friday because it'll be here Tuesday. Oh my God. We're way early in the week. Nevertheless, it'll count. So anyway, tune in on Monday. That's going to be a Tales of the Unexpected. And then the week after, oh boy, Midnight Suns. I'm going to talk about it for 16 hours. It'll be our longest episode ever, everybody.
I got a lot of homework to do for that one.
Until then, though, HP, tell the people where they can find you.
Cool. I co-host Night Mr. Walters, a taxi podcast, alongside Father Malone here. We have fun with that. I host the Noise Junkies music podcast. At some point, I'll get back to it. I don't know when. And I also have a Bandcamp site, hpmusicplace.bandcamp.com.
As for me, if you want to hear the exclusive stuff, go to patreon.com/Father Malone. That's where you're going to hear shows like Vault 702, the Fallout podcast, or HP and I are doing Step Off, the White Rapper show, based on Ego Trips, based on Ego Trips 2006 piece of genius, the White Rapper show from MTV. We also do Star Trek away missions there, which are sort of specialized. Anyway, keep it here. We're on Mondays and Fridays except for this Tuesday, but everything will go back to normal next week. Thank you, everyone, for listening as always, and try to enjoy the daylight.